Hey, let's do Big Balls in Cowtown. How about that?
Let's do it. Big balls in Cowtown. Working on the railroad, sleeping on the ground, eating walking crackers, 10 cents a pound. Big balls in Cowtown, we'll all come down. Big balls in Cowtown, we'll dance around. Yeah, coming from the heart. Put on your new shoes, put on your gown, shake off them sad blues, big balls of town, big balls of Cowtown, we'll all come down, big balls of Cowtown, we'll all go down, round and round and round. That's old Dave Pepper on steel guitar. Here's Jason. I'll stay in Cowtown, I'll stick around. Morning through window, big balls in town. Big balls in Cowtown, we'll all come down. Big balls in Cowtown, we'll dance around. Yeah! Everybody's smiling, you can't find a frown. The cowgirls are dancing, the big balls in town. The big balls in Cowtown, we'll all come down. Big balls in Cowtown. Big balls in town. Like Markwardt.
It's time for Fort Worth Musical Moments. Join us now as Steve Markwardt takes a look at the music and the artists who made the city's vibrant musical legacy what it is today. Well, good morning and welcome to Fort Worth Musical Moments. Hey, there's going to be a big ball in town coming up in November, and this is your first chance to get to hear about it. If that didn't put a smile on your face, I don't know what will. Happy Friday, everybody. Brent Adams along with Steve Markwardt and a special guest down below us here.
Yeah, that's right, Brent. Boy, if that doesn't wake you up, nothing will. What a great way to get the day kick started
Love
with
it.
a stirring rendition of Big Balls in Cowtown, and nobody does it better than my brother. Actually, that should be that's kind of your signature Western swing song, and so Mike, we're happy to have you here, and got a lot to talk about. We're excited. This year's Birthplace of Western Swing Festival is going to. If it's possible, and every year I think there's no way you can top what you did last year, but it looks like from the lineup, and we'll talk a lot about that we're gonna exceed last year's festival, which is just amazing. So, Mike, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm like a kid in a candy store when I sing that song. It's my favorite. Old Hoyle Nix, Jody's father, wrote that in 1949.
Well, and you're not just singing at karaoke. You've got the actual Bob Wills Texas Playboys up there with Jason Roberts and Katie Shore and all those other Katie Shore was with Sleep at the Wheel. Is she still with Sleep at the Wheel? Or
No, she's not, but
Yeah.
she's almost full-time Playboys now.
Yeah, so it helps to have the original article there backing you up. Not too many people can boast that. So,
What a thrill! What a thrill!
yeah, yeah.
Well, it's thrilling that we get to talk about this here, and we wanted to have you on this week here because ticket sales have kicked off now for the 2024 event, which is going to be held in November here at historic National Hall there in Fort Worth. And another killer lineup this year.
Yes, and I'm thrilled to have the great Brent Adams back as one of our featured MCs. That's going to be great.
You know what? I had so much fun doing it last year. I can't even describe. It's just if you haven't been, you've got to get there this year. I'm telling you, tickets are selling fast, and you're not going to want to miss this. This is just an action-packed 3 days of just wall-to-wall Western swing music, and not just Western swing, but music that pays tribute to Western swing's roots, and that's so important.
Yes, it is. It is. It's all about the history. And we called it, from the beginning, the Cowtown birthplace of Western swing, to honor the birth of what I like to call the three kingpin bands that started this music. Was the Light Crust Doughboys, Milton Brown and his musical Brownies, and then, of course, Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys. Those three bands, in fact, actually all three played at this historic National Hall during the 1930s and 40s. So it makes for such a wonderful historic venue. It's a 87-year-old dance hall that's had a lot of greats play there. It started out as really the Bohemian Hall, and then it later changed its name to the National Hall. But the music got its start in Fort Worth at a place called Crystal Springs Pavilion, which was on White Settlement Road down near the Trinity River. And a guy by the name of Papa Sam Cunningham started Crystal Springs in 1918. He built it as originally a swimming hole by the river. And as he was digging pour the foundation, they discovered there were springs under the ground, and his wife said, "Look, honey, those springs are just clear as crystal." And that's how it got its name. And then in 1925, he put a roof over the place and started having live musicians out there, mainly little small string bands at the time. And I don't even think there were the microphones, the amplification was not even invented yet. But I contend one of the reasons Bob Wills and Milton Brown took off like hotcakes is that invention of the microphone and amplification started right when they did in 1931 with the Light Crust Doughboys, and that helped propel the music and allowed like 1,800 people every Friday, Saturday night inside National Hall to dance to that music. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to hear the string music without amplification, because all you would hear were the stomping of people's boots on the dance floor, So.
Well, and it's hard to get good quality control vocally. I know that being a vocalist myself and studying. I come from that crooning background. I haven't sang with a big band for years, and it totally changed everything when they were able to amplify the voice and allowed. That was kind of the birth of the crooner era. Bing Crosby being one of the first guys, and then of course for Sinatra and those guys followed him. And so, the amplification allowed the singers to control their vocals more and be more intimate with the delivery of their vocals. But let's talk a little bit about that first meeting between Bob Wills and Milton Brown, because I think one of the things that you zero in on, certainly you do it with the documentary film that is just fantastic, but you also are paying homage to that by some of the acts that you're bringing into the festival, and people need to understand that the kind of the reasoning behind some of the the artists that you're bringing in. And I'm like you, Mike. I'm a musical expeditionary, and anybody that is playing music, certainly today, we're always, we borrow from those that came before us, and they in turn did the same thing, and that goes back to beginning of music, I guess. So talk a little bit about Milton Brown and what he was doing and what he and Bob Wills did that magical night that they met, that chance meeting in Fort Worth at a dance part or at a house party, and what they were doing that night.
Yes, Bob Wills had partnered with a guy by the name of Herman Arnspiger, and he and Herman met at one of those minstrel shows where Bob was dancing and hollering and wisecracking and fiddling near downtown Fort Worth, kind of down near the railroad station, I think is where they met. And that was in the summer of 1928 or maybe early 29, I think. And they together formed the Wills Fiddle Band. And in 1929, I want to say, they entered a statewide fiddle contest or string band contest in Fort Worth and won it. They won that contest. There's a photograph in my film where it shows all the contestants of that very contest in either late 29 or early 30, where they won. And they also went to Brunswick Records in Fort Worth at the old, I believe it was I can't remember which old hotel it was, but one of the old hotels. They recorded 2 numbers, Gulf Coast Blues, which was an old Bessie Smith song, and I can't remember. Another one was, I think, a Bob Wills fiddle tune that he'd learned from his grandfather. But sadly, those 2 recordings were lost, and they were never taken to market. So unfortunately, those recordings, no one knows where they are. I would sure love to find those recordings. But anyway,
that was at the Blackstone Hotel. Right?
Yes, yeah, that was recorded in the Blackstone Hotel, and then in the fall of 1930, or I should say late summer 1930, at this Fort Worth house dance that Herman and Bob were playing in. They were called the Wills Fiddle Band again. And in the audience watching them perform was Milton Brown. And he kindly stepped in and asked Bob if he knew how to play the song, the old Bessie Smith song, St. Louis Blues. And Bob said, "That's one of my favorites. I love Bessie. I rode 40 miles on a mule from Turkey to Childress just to see Bessie play," and Milton said, "Let's go with it." And they started playing it, and Milton loved that song as well and started just this wonderful singing that Bob was immediately captivated. And right after that dance, house dance, he invited Milton to join their band. And that fall, they became the Aladdin Laddies that fall and got a little bit of a radio sponsorship. And then in January 1st, 1931, they got on the air for the first time with KFJZ as the new Light Crust Doughboys. They had approached Pappy Leo Daniel, who was the president of Burris Mill and Elevator Company out of Saginaw, not right near Fort Worth, not far from National Hall, in fact. And they became the Light Crust Doughboys, and the rest is history. That's when the music really kicked off, and they were doing dances every weekend. They were traveling all over kind of north central Texas playing dances, but Pappy Leo Daniel hated them playing dances, and finally put his foot down and said, "You're to work at the mill during the day and practice your music as well and play for my promotions for Light Crust Flour, no dances." And of course, Milton immediately rejected that. And in the fall of 1932, he left the Doughboys to form his musical Brownies, which really became the first prototypical Western swing band, because Milton brought in twin fiddles for that harmonizing twin fiddle effect. He brought in a jazz piano with Fred Papa Calhoun. And then his ultimate innovation was bringing in Bob Dunn on steel guitar. And it was the very first amplified steel guitar. And when they unveiled that steel guitar at Crystal Springs in the winter of 1933-34, it stopped people in their tracks. I mean, I'm telling you, they couldn't believe what this animal sound was coming out of Bob Dunn's amplifier. It was quite amazing. And of course, Bob left in the fall, a year later, in the fall of 1933. He had enough of Pappy, and maybe Pappy had enough of Bob too, because Bob was missing shows. He was starting to develop a bit of a drinking problem. But at any rate, mutually, they left one another. Bob went to Waco to form the Playboys. And then later that fall, right before the end of the year in 33, he moved to Oklahoma City first, got kicked off that station. Daniel was getting him fired wherever he went because he was using his advertising prowess to buy up radio time to get Bob Wills fired. He was so jealous of Bob and missed having Bob in his band. And then on January 3rd or 4th, 1931, they went live on KVOO radio in Tulsa and became the Texas Playboys. And that's kind of the early history of how it all started.
And your documentary film, of course, lays all that out so beautifully and in such great detail. And so again, these guys, were inspired. Milton Brown was inspired in what they were performing there here in Fort Worth. Of course, they didn't know, when he and Bob got together, they just kind of merged their two styles of music together, and they had no idea they were creating a whole new genre of music. I think what Milton Brown was doing is more, as your film lays out, more of sophisticated type of music that Milton was probably hearing on the radio coming from New York, Chicago, New Orleans, whatever, Louis Armstrong and King Oliver and those early jazz pioneers. And they were doing this swinging music. And then Bob Wills came out of the cotton fields of West Texas, having worked alongside the African-American workers and the Hispanic workers and picking up those influences. And it all just kind of, as your film says, and Barry Corbin says, it was this pot. He threw a little bit of everything in there and stirred it around like a gumbo until you couldn't tell what was in it. And then you got Western swing. And then the term Western swing wasn't used until later, right?
Yeah, not until the 40s. A radio DJ in Southern California who was a big Spade Cooley fan, because Spade had started up in the early 40s, he was the one that coined the term Western swing. Up until then, I think they called it either Texas swing or just hot fiddle band music. They didn't call it Western swing. And of course, this same DJ proclaimed Spade Cooley as the king of Western swing, which was the furthest thing in the world from the truth. Bob Wills was always the king of Western swing. But at any rate, it is what it is. And Bob moved out to the West Coast in the early 40s and started making Hollywood B Westerns and achieved a huge national fame. But Bob always kind of ignored the East Coast. He kind of ignored Nashville. Bob did not like the hillbilly kind of persona of Nashville at that time. The Grand Ole Opry they tried to portray everybody as hillbillies. They had not yet picked up a Western look in the 1930s. And when Bob went to play there in 1944 for the first and only time at the Grand Ole Opry, he changed, I think, a lot of the way people were dressing and looking their outfits. He came in there with classic cowboy looks, starched white shirts, crisp hats, slacks and boots, and they looked really professional. And Dolly Parton remarked how Bob changed a lot of things in Nashville, the way the guys looked, and they started dressing Western. And of course, by the mid 40s, a guy by the name of Nudie out in California got involved and started designing these wild sequin Western outfits. And that was during the same time as the birth of honky tonk. And they became much more flashy looking in Nashville, obviously.
Mike, you need to, we've got quite a few people chiming in. I'm looking at the feed on Musical Moments, and among the many folks that are chiming in, including Miss Lucy Dean, who we love and who's going to be we're going to have a big birthday celebration coming up for her that we all want to attend. But we got our old high school friend Mark Stidle. So watch your adjectives, Mike.
Yes, Mark loves my articulate, superfluous, language skills.
Loquacious, yes.
Loquaciousness.
At any rate, Mark was one hell of a fine middle linebacker for the Western Hills Cougars. He was all city, all district. He was the best player on our team. He was really good. I saw him put many a player in the hospital. He loved head-on collisions. Of course, his brain is affected to this day, I think, for that reason. No, I'm just kidding.
Mark and I didn't play football together because he's a couple of years. He was in your class, but Mark and I had a lot of fun later. Anyway, we won't get into that. Those are blackmail material stories there.
But anyway, like I said, we're all about the history. This is the 4th annual Cowtown Birthplace of Western Swing. We hope there'll be many more. And I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I've had a number of people tell us that this festival kind of has evolved in next to the Bob Wills Day festivities. Obviously, that's the Super Bowl of Western Swing events held out in Turkey, Texas on the last weekend of April, coming up here in just 3 weeks. That's been going on for 52 years. And Bob Wills was still alive when the Bob Wills Day started. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, I've had people tell us that our festival in just 4 short years has evolved into like the preeminent Western swing event where we try to bring in some of the history. And we usually have on Saturday at least one 30 to 45-minute segment where we tie in the history. Last year was a mariachi influence, the Mexican influence. This year, we're bringing in the blues influence with Miss Bessie Smith. We're having a couple of wonderful performers from New Orleans fly in, and Miss Sarah Peterson and Miss Shay Cohn, and they're going to replicate that Bessie Smith sound, the early 1920s blues. You know, the record companies will tell you they would have all gone under in the 20s and not been able to survive if it wasn't for the female Black blues singers. They really kept the record industry going, along with the jazz players like Louis Armstrong and those guys. But anyway, Bob and Milton loved that Bessie Smith sound, and they covered a number of her songs. So who better not to honor this year than Bessie Smith? So,
well, and if you listen to what that early country pioneers like Jimmy Rogers, he was doing just down and dirty blues too.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. Just like Bob and Milton and later on Hank Williams, Jimmy Rogers was very influenced by the Black blues sound. And of course, Hank Williams had T-Tot in his childhood that taught him to play the blues guitar. And there's one other entertainer from the 20s who was not African-American. He was a white guy, but he was famous for his blackface minstrel type performances, a guy by the name of Emmett Miller. And Emmett heavily influenced Bob Wills, Milton Brown, Tommy Duncan. Tommy Duncan loved to sing like Emmett. And then later on, 15 years later, Hank Williams, his first hit, what was it, Steve, called
Lovesick Blues.
Lovesick Blues was an old Emmett Smith 1920s song. And of course, Bob covered Right or Wrong, which was an Emmett Miller hit from the 1920s. So it's kind of funny how Emmett Smith tied into a lot of country.
Yeah, just to clarify, Emmett Miller.
Emmett Miller, not Emmett Smith, but
I'm not. Did I say Emmett Smith? I meant Emmett Miller. Sorry.
Yeah. We all love Emmett Smith too.
He was good in his own right.
A great Western swing performer.
Yeah, he could run circles around those guys.
Yes.
No, yeah, and it's funny because I called Hank Williams. The record companies love to call him the Lovesick Blues Boy, but yeah, he was not the first to sing that song for sure.
That's right.
And that's what you got to love about that. When you think you're hearing the original article of something, like today people hear those reaction videos, and they do a reaction video on Dolly Parton's "I Will Always Love You." They say, "Wait a minute, I thought that was Whitney Houston's original song." So I mean, that's been going on for years and years and years.
Yeah, and old Jason Roberts, every time he plays Right or Wrong on stage with his Bob Wills Texas Playboys, he always says, "Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is an old song. It goes way back to George Strait, Right or Wrong." And actually, a lot of people think that George Strait was the first to do Right or Wrong, but it goes way back to the 20s of Emmett Miller. And then Milton Brown covered it in 33 on his first album, and Bob covered it in 34 or 35 on his first album. So yeah, it's amazing how much of it ties to mostly African-American blues, jazz, ragtime type influences,
When you were saying earlier about Pappy O'Daniel not wanting these guys to play the dances, can you imagine being a Western swing band and just playing in a studio, just limiting your playing time to a studio when this music is all about the dancing? I mean, I know as a musician myself and as a with my band, that's where you get all your energy. That's why these bands can go for 3 or 4 hours without taking a break, because the energy they get from that dance floor.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And those early recordings in the 20s and early 30s, there was usually only one microphone in the recording room. And the recording room many times was not a studio. It was just like a hotel room or whatever. So the acoustics probably weren't that great. But each player, each musician and singer would have to step forward and get near the microphone to be heard on that recording. And that's why the piano on those early Western swing songs, the piano was kind of a faint sound. You couldn't quite hear it because the piano was stuck away against a wall and not near the microphone. So that, the piano player was the only guy that couldn't step up and get close to the microphone,
So as we stand here, as we talk about the history of this, now we want to kind of look forward to how we pay homage to it in 2024. Just looking down this lineup here, you have got 3 stellar days of I'm gonna get this crawl off the screen so you don't see that here. Three stellar days of just wall-to-wall entertainment.
Yes. On Thursday, we start off with the great Brent Adams as MC, Master of Ceremonies, welcoming our patrons. We like to call them patrons. We try to lift up our fans on a pedestal. I kind of robbed that from the tournament of all tournaments in golf, the Masters. They call their fans the patrons. So that's why I like to call our fans patrons. And we start off with a guy that's connected to Western swing with deep roots. He used to perform back in the 1980s or 90s for sure with a lot of old Texas Playboys players. Dave Alexander and his Good Time Band start off at 12:30. And I don't know, would you mind playing a video of Dave so the audience can see him? He's phenomenal. He's a great new addition to we've never had him before at our festival. I don't know if you have a video of him or not.
Let's see what we got here.
That's okay if you don't have it, but
is that when you sent me? Is that Western Boogie?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, let's roll it.
North Fort Worth about 8:30 in a drop-top caddy with Bob Wills plates, knee-high boots and a buckaroo hat. Well, now he's looking for fun and he knows where it's at, 'cause at the top of the hill there's a joint that swings, the perfect spot for him to do his thing. He likes to boogie Western style. He got a 2-step jitterbug to drive everybody wild. Yeah, he likes to boogie Western style. She walks into the joint looking long and lean. There's just no doubt she's every cowboy's dream, with that sweet mini skirt and that buckaroo hat. If you're looking for fun, well, she's where it's at. She cuts a waddy out with just one wink, and then she dances all night and never buys a drink. She likes to boogie Western style. She got a 2-step jitterbug, drives everybody wild. Yeah, she likes to boogie, Western style. Come on, gal, go! Western style. They got a two-step jitterbug, drives everybody wild. They like to boogie, Western style. Come on, let's go. They like to boogie, Western style. Yeah, they got a two-step jitterbug, drives everybody wild. Yeah, they like to boogie, Western style. Come on now. Oh, let's boogie. Oh yeah. Well, they like to boogie, Western style. One more time around the floor.
But what a way to kick off that festival, huh?
If they bring that kind of energy, it sure will be.
Well, I don't think he's bringing the full horn section band. It's going to be a little bit scaled down, probably 5 or 6 piece band. But at any rate, we may have him back the following year in a bigger capacity with all the horns and everything. But he is really a great entertainer, great stage presence. Dave Alexander, a legend. He's won all kinds of awards through the years. Then following Dave, we've got real excited. We got another video to play here, I guess. This gal is phenomenal singer, fiddler, and she's got some of the most talented Western swing instrumentalists. And they play vintage 1930s style Western swing. The early style of Western swing is Mary Lee and Caesar's Cowboys. What a great name, because they're from Rome, Italy. We're flying them in all the way from Rome to play our festival. They'll be playing on Friday at 3 p.m. and again on Saturday at 12 noon down in the Stockyards at Second Rodeo Brewing for our Stockyards tour. So if you don't mind queuing her up for a video to let our audience see this gal is phenomenal. It's the best Western swing band in all of Europe, I contend.
Actually, Mike, you said Saturday, Friday and Saturday. Actually, it's Thursday at 3 and then Friday at 12 noon.
Sorry. Thursday at 3, Friday at noon. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. Let's roll them. Mary Lee and Caesar's Cowboys.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Trocking. Everybody's doing it now. Oh, you can hear them singing and trocking. You can see them swinging and trocking. Trocking. Everybody's doing it now. Down in Autumn on the street, you can hear them dancing feet. See them doggies everywhere they go. You can hear them singing hi-de ho. Everybody's singing and trocking. Everybody's swinging and trocking. Everybody's doing it now. You can see them swinging and tracking, tracking. Everybody's doing it now. And down in Harlem on the street, you can hear them dancing feet. See them dogs everywhere they go. You can hear them singing hi-de-ho. Everybody's singing and tracking. Everybody's swinging and tracking. Everybody's doing it now. Everybody's doing it now.
I love that.
Yeah, we're just real excited to have her. What a talent. And she's got in her band Luciano Michelini, her electric guitarist, is her boyfriend. And on steel guitar is a legend of Western swing's lap steel. And that's Flavio Pasquetto from Rome. He was Ray Benson's main #1 steel guitar player for Asleep at the Wheel for many years. So she's got some incredible talented musicians that play it the authentic 1930s way, that string band sound, you know.
Sounds like something right off of Victrola. I mean, it's so cool. And what charisma does she have? I mean, it's just amazing. Where do you say they're out of?
They're out of Rome, Italy. She's actually born in the Netherlands near Amsterdam, but moved to Italy and got together with these wonderful musicians. Believe it or not, Europe has got a huge hotbed of Western swing fans. We have got to go there, Steve, and get your band to make a tour throughout Italy, Spain, Germany. Germany is real strong. There's a number of Western swing bands in Germany. And of course, England, Ireland, and Scotland, you would be well received. And I've got a number of radio DJs that would help put together some venues and some dances for you. Would be really cool. And maybe we could get old Billy Motter to fly in and sing with your band, you know?
Well, I think Tommy Snyder and I have talked about doing an American Country Network. I think what we need to do is an ACN tour, and they call it the birthplace of Cowtown, birthplace of Western swing tour, you know, and do I think it would be very well received. I've been really, you know, our fan base is growing rapidly over there in those countries. And so I think it would be very well received. And what a blast it would be to go over there.
Yeah, and you could utilize a lot of their musicians. You wouldn't have to fly in all of your musicians. There's a pretty good hotbed in England, Spain, Italy, Germany. There's some good players over there that you could use.
Problem is, how would they receive a guy like Brent Adams? That's
the problem. Yeah. No.
If that's your biggest problem, you're doing all right.
Well, getting back to the lineup, after Mary Lee and Caesar's Cowboys, you've got a fan favorite coming back for his second time at our festival, the great Robert Houston and Western Swing Rules. They are the finest Western swing band in the state of Arkansas. But wait a minute, they're the only Western swing band in Arkansas. No, I just say that in kidding. They play real authentic Western swing. Everybody loved them last year. They're back. And then in the key pivotal end spot on Thursday is Jake Hooker and the Outsiders with his daddy, Tommy Hooker. And he'll probably have both sons. For sure, one of his sons, Jake's son, Mac, plays lead guitar. And he's got that phenomenal steel player, you know, Tommy Dedamore, Jess Metter on fiddle and his girlfriend from Korea, and a great drummer that's just constantly smiling. Love that guy. But anyway, on Friday, we start early at 10 a.m. where we'll have luxury motor coach buses picking up our patrons at 10 a.m. at Stockyards or at the National Hall to take everyone down into the historic Fort Worth Stockyards for a kind of a cowgirl, cowboy singing welcome in front of the red Red Steagle statue there in front of the Livestock Exchange building. And then people will have time to shop all those great Western shops. And then at around 11:30, you'll have this Longhorn cattle drive, which you see on the screen now. That is a big, big deal. It's the only twice daily real rodeo cowboy herd in a downtown city and anywhere on planet Earth. Only Fort Worth does that, and it's been doing it since the 1980s. So it's a really great history of the old cattle drives that used to come right through this town of Fort Worth. There was two huge meat packing companies, the Swift and Armor factories, located right up that hill you see in that video on the road at the distant end of town. Was where they processed all the meats. And then you have the big Cowtown Coliseum, where the first indoor rodeo ever started, is right there. And then we head over at 12 noon to the Second Rodeo Brewing for our big dance with Mary Lee and Caesar's Cowboys. And they'll be serving lunch over there. People can purchase lunch if they want. It's a really neat venue. Everybody loved it last year. Then the buses take everyone at 2 o'clock back to National Hall, where we will have the great Landon Dodd and his Dance Hall Kings returning to our festival. They played the inaugural festival, and he's coming back. Everybody loves Landon. He's a staple at the Longhorn Saloon. Every Wednesday night, he plays here in Fort Worth and packs them in at the Longhorn, and we're really proud to have him back. He's got some wonderful musicians, and he plays a country shuffle, a honky tonk, a traditional country, not just Western swing. He's probably leans more traditional country. And then after Landon comes my brother, Steve Markwardt, and the A-List Band, along with Kurt Ryle, his partner at Clarksville Creative Sound. And I believe, Steve, aren't y'all bringing some wonderful guest singers in with you for that?
Well, so my band, we got Carl Vaughn going to join us. Carl is a great artist and musician from way back. Carl had a deal with Monument Records in Nashville back in the 60s and 70s. He actually recorded some stuff with the Texas Playboys when Tommy Alsop was leading that deal after Bob Wills had passed away. He sent me some stuff last night. So, yes, we're thrilled and honored to be able to share the stage with guys like Carl Vaughn. And we'll have probably another Clarksville Creative Sound recording artist or two make some guest appearances. And, Mike, we never know. We might pull you up there and do some stuff as well. We're working on the set list. And we'll be honing that between now and November, because that's the show we always look forward to. And chances are we'll probably be bringing a television crew out there to film that, because, a lot of these live performances we'll want to feature on our television show, which is coming up.
That would be phenomenal if Tommy Snyder could bring a TV crew out there and make a show out of the American Country Network to feature our festival. That would be so cool.
Well, I think so. Tommy was at the last year's festival and caught our act, and he later that afternoon when we were sitting out in our little green room RV thing, he goes, I forgot how much fun this music is and how cool it is, and so he's really intrigued with that whole thing and wants to give it a lot of exposure on the network. So we're gonna make sure that he holds true to that, and I think it'll be a really cool thing to show that on the TV show. And who knows, we may even have a Western swing show maybe on a Saturday afternoon on the network before it's all over with.
Yes. And then after Steve's band on Friday night, the wonderful finale on Friday evening will be the great Jody Nix and the Texas Cowboys. Jody hails from Big Spring, Texas, and he and his daddy, his father was Hoyle Nix, who's a legend in Western swing. He's the guy that wrote Big Balls in Cowtown. But Jody's been doing this an amazing 68 years. When he started at age 10 playing drums for his daddy's band, and he has actually played on stage numerous times with Bob Wills. He was on the final album with Bob Wills for the last time Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys. He's the only living player from those seminal recordings, historic recordings. And I like to call, and a lot of people call Jody the crown prince of Western swing. He has done more to keep this music alive than anybody. And I put him up there with Ray Benson. He's just a phenomenal talent, and he stays booked to this day. He's, I think, age 70 years of age, and he stays booked every Friday and Saturday night. He's one of the most popular dance bands in the Southwest.
You know, Mike, during COVID, right in the middle of COVID, at its worst time, Mark Abbott and I stayed in touch. Mark was, and I got to be good friends. And I asked Mark, I said, "What are you doing this weekend?" He goes, "Oh, I'm on the road playing." Jody Nix never missed a dance during COVID.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, those West Texas ranchers and farmers and cowboys, they love him. He is a huge rodeo band. He's played more rodeos than anybody I can think of. He's a real popular among the true Texas cowboys, as well as Jake Hooker. Jake Hooker also is in that same realm. They both have a huge following. Then on Saturday, the final day of our festival, we start off with a 10 a.m. screening of the final version of the birth and history of Western swing, followed by a brief Q&A. And I think people will enjoy this final version because we've got over 70 brand new photos that we've inserted into the film. And everybody will, I think, really enjoy that. And then right after the screening, we will have the Bessie Smith blues tribute with Sarah Peterson and Shay Cohn. The lovely Miss Cheryl Hatchett is helping me plan this, and she'll be introducing Sarah and Shay and giving you a little history on the blues that influenced, the early blues that influenced the Bob Wills Texas Playboys, and as well as Milton Brown. So anyway, that'll be great. And then right after that, we kick off the first band that day. I'm sorry you're hearing all that background noise. The Western Flyers, the great Joey McKenzie, and his wonderful fiddler, Ridge Roberts. Matthew plays upright bass, and he's bringing in his Top Gun vocalist and guitarist, Red Volkart from Nashville or Branson. I can't remember where Red lives now, but anyway, it's a phenomenal 4-piece string band that sounds like a 10-piece. I mean, they are incredibly talented. I want to say, in terms of musicianship, they may be the most talented group we have the whole weekend. They are phenomenal. Joey is considered one of the greatest rhythm guitarists in the world right now. And Ridge Roberts has won the National Fiddle Contest numerous times. He's a phenomenal fiddler. Then we move to Billy Mata and the Texas Tradition. Billy is just one of the finest crooner vocalists in our music genre. I call him kind of like the Frank Sinatra of modern day Western swing. He's got a wonderful crooner voice and sings a lot like Tommy Duncan. He can sing a wide repertoire of type songs that you'll just love. He'll do a Magic Moment, an old Andy Williams tune. He does so many wonderful songs. It's just great. And then after Billy, you've got the great Bob Wills Texas Playboys under the direction of Jason Roberts. And he's bringing in Miss Katie Shore as a special guest. She was there for us last year, and they are the ultimate Western swing band playing right now in the world. They are phenomenal. They just replicate that 1940s Bob Wills sound with the big band and the horn section, the whole 9 yards. They're not to be missed. And then to top off the entire festival, I'd like Brent to play a video of the star of our festival, Mr. Junior Brown and the Brazos Valley Boys, the great Brazos Valley Boys who played with Hank Thompson. Now, it's not the same Brazos Valley Boys. They've got new members in the band, but they are tried and true Western swing honky tonk. It's a mixture, a blend of Western swing and honky tonk. And with Junior, you've got a new wave honky tonk that is just phenomenal. He plays that steel guitar, an instrument that he invented. It's half lap steel, half electric guitar. And he is unbelievable on that thing. He plays a kind of a surf beach music medley on that guitar. He plays honky tonk. He does a wonderful Ernest Tubb. And I think this video, Brent, you're about to play is a song that Junior wrote about Ernest Tubb, his hero, a huge influence on him. If you wouldn't mind dialing that up for us.
I'm glad you picked this one too, because as I was listening to it, outside of his late nephew, Glenn Douglas Tubb, I don't know anybody else who can pull off E.T. better than Junior Brown did in this song.
Yeah, he's got the same baritone voice.
Just the inflections and just the nuance in the voice is unbelievable. He really
Junior's one guy that it's a challenge to want to get out and dance because he's so fun to watch.
Right.
Yes. You have a huge watching audience that love him, not just dancers, but he has been a great friend to our festival and our film. He's one of the stars, the talking heads in our film, and he's phenomenal in our documentary. And he's become a good personal friend of mine. He's just a great guy. He lives in Branson, Missouri with his wife, Tanya Ray, and both he and Tanya Ray will be performing with the Brazos Valley Boys to top off our festival.
I was so flattered when he sent me that message after he got a hold of my latest, my Swing Country CD, and was very complimentary, and that just meant the world to me. And then when you and I were at Billy Bob's watching him perform, and he shouted out to both you and I from the stage, that was a cool moment.
That was really cool.
Junior's iconic, you know. And if you've ever seen that movie, that funny movie, Me, Myself, and Irene, with Jim Carrey and Renee Zellweger, Junior Brown, not only his Highway Patrol song is the theme song, but he narrates that whole thing. So.
Yes. And he also, his hit song, Better Call Saul, was the theme song for that wonderful series on Netflix, Better Call Saul. He wrote and sang that.
Well, let's dial it up, Brent.
All right, here we go. Junior Brown.
Got a gal that's mighty peculiar. She got a funny state of mind. Oh, she likes all kinds of singers. She'll only dance to just one kind. She likes to hear Hank moan the blues, Bob Will's Faded Love. But my baby don't dance to nothing but Ernest Tubb. I wonder why in tarnation she got such a strange fixation. She won't ever dance with me unless it's a song by old E.T. I guess waltzing across Texas must be in her blood. 'Cause my baby don't dance to nothing but Ernest Tubb. Dancing, but I just don't know what for. 'Cause all she ever dances to is a Texas troubadour. My friends don't understand it, how I ever fell in love with a gal that don't dance to nothing but Ernest Tubb. I wonder why in tarnation she got such a strange fixation. The reason, if I could learn it, why she only danced to Ernest. I guess waltzing across Texas must be in her blood. 'Cause my baby don't dance to nothing but Ernest Tubb. No, my baby don't dance to nothing but Ernest Tubb.
Just the way Ernest used to emulate Jimmy Rogers, here comes Junior Brown emulating Ernest Tubb, and it's phenomenal.
You know, and what's great is because Junior's got a good voice, but he on purpose drops about a quarter step off key, just like Ernest will be the first to tell you, would have been the first to tell you that he's not a great singer, you know, and part of the appeal for Ernest Tubb was that that the common man could say, hey, I might be able to do that myself,
He always fancied himself an entertainer, much the way Junior Brown has here. And that's
I love Junior, and he's got a wide array of fans, real young college age kids that are crazy about him. He played in Austin at the old Continental Club for decades, and that was his home base for a number of years. And just a huge following in the Austin, Texas area, and now in Branson. And he travels all over the country. He and Tanya Ray perform really as a small 4-piece band, but they're so good. And our audience is going to love it. I think they're going to love the dance music of the entire 3 days. It's just action packed. And I'd love to tell them how to get tickets if I can. Our tickets just went on sale April 1st, and now we're already 45% sold out. So people ought to hustle to our website and buy their tickets. And that is at birthplaceofwesternswing.com is the website, birthplaceofwesternswing.com. You click on the festival logo in the upper left corner, and that'll send you right to the page to buy an array of different type tickets. We've got ultra VIP tickets, which is the very best seating for all 3 days. And you get 3 dinners prepaid. You get the Stockyards tour ticket. All of that comes with an ultra VIP for $200. Then the standard VIP seating at $150, which is just the 3-day tickets, but it's the very best seating at National Hall. Then you have $100 3-day reserve seating tickets, which are still in the acoustics and size of National Hall. It's very intimate dance hall. There's not a bad seat in the place. So even the reserve seating is wonderful. And then we have about 75 wall tickets available around the perimeter of the hall, which is open seating. It's not reserved, but just you can sit along the wall, no table, but you can enjoy the festival that way at a cheaper cost. And then lastly, we're new for this year. We're going to be selling standing room only Saturday tickets, which allows you a seat for the film. There'll be plenty of room probably at the 10 a.m. film with that $35 ticket. You can come watch. And then when the music starts up at around 1 o'clock, 1:30, I think, that's when those folks they'll have a hard time finding a seat. Some of them might be able to find a seat. Not everyone shows up, but anyway, it's supposed to be standing room only on Saturday for those tickets. And we expect to have 1,700 people there over the 3 days of the festival. It's going to be great.
Well, most people aren't sitting anyway. Most people are on the dance floor most of that time. And I can tell you, throughout this festival, you never know what's going to happen. And Steve, you mentioned a name early on as you were going through the comments here, one Lucy Dean Record. And I've got a special video here. If we got a second, I would love to share.
Let me say something real quick while we're on the subject of tickets and encouraging people to come to step forward and buy your tickets. For accommodations, you can't find a better place. There's within a 3-mile radius, I think there's at least a half a dozen really good hotel, Holiday Inn Express, La Quinta, and there's newer hotels that, and so there's great accommodations, but that's something you probably need to go ahead and make arrangements. When you buy your tickets, go ahead and get your accommodations. But there's also about a 4-acre tract of land just to the north of the hall, right adjacent to the hall, where if you're an RVer, it's very RV friendly. And so that'll be free RV parking as well. And it's a dry camp. It doesn't have electrical or water hookups, but still, if you've got a self-contained RV, it's a great free of charge place to park. And John Durham will be cooking up his signature barbecue and other like German and Czech type foods. And of course, there's lots of good restaurants in the general vicinity as well. So, it's very patron friendly.
Yes, he's doing an Italian night Thursday night, a Czech German night Friday, and a barbecue night on Saturday.
And I want to challenge our friend Mark Stottle, who's I guess still watching, since he's been needling you throughout this whole broadcast about your adjectives. I want to throw down the gauntlet and say, Mark, it's your job to get all the Western Hills folks to come to this festival.
Yes, Mark, please take an interest in my life and try to get some folks from Western Hills to come. We've got 65%, or actually 55% of the tickets are unsold. We've got all 5 categories of tickets available, and the Stockyards tour, everything. The whole 3 days is going to be phenomenal. Again, that website is birthplaceofwesternswing.com. Go there now to secure your tickets. They're going to be sold out by June 1st for sure.
Let's watch old Miss Lucy. I didn't say old. She's young. Lucy Dean.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. This is just proof positive that you never know what's going to happen. So you're going to want to get your tickets. Check this out. The soon to be 100-year-old Lucy Dean record with an amazing performance with Steve Markwart's A-list band.
That's pretty unprofessional. I don't know what the heck I was doing on my phone. I think I was trying to record that or something, but that's pretty unprofessional.
We weren't going to bring that up.
That's me about 35 pounds ago too. So
rocking and rolling.
Yeah. And I want to emphasize to everybody out there watching this show to try to make it to Lucy Dean's 100th birthday out halfway between Floydada and Lockney, Texas, at the Floyd County Friends Unity Center on Saturday afternoon evening, June 1st, where we will be celebrating her 100th birthday. We're going to have the great Jimmy Burson's Western Swing Band, which she's a part of, perform. It's going to be a great full afternoon, evening celebration, celebrating her 100 years.
Well, we can't wait for that. Less than 2 months away to celebrate Miss Lucy Dean record. And again, go get your tickets now for the Cowtown Birthplace of Western Swing Festival. Birthplaceofwesternswing.com is where you go to get those tickets. Get them now before they're gone and be a part of it. We can't wait to see you there at Historic National Hall coming up here in November.
Thank y'all very much for promoting our festival. What you do, Brent and Steve, with this Fort Worth Musical Memories is magical. You've developed quite a following, and I want to congratulate you both on the launch of the new American Country Network as well, and Clarksville Creative Sound, Kurt Ryle, Tommy Snyder, all of your partners in crime. You guys do a great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. It's a labor of love for sure, and it continues to grow. And Steve, before we get out of here, he mentioned Clarksville Creative Sound. What's the latest?
Oh man, well, Kurt always tells me, okay, after he gets done with a recording session, he goes, I'm going to take the next couple of days off. Okay, Kurt. So I'll call him around noon the next day, thinking he's going to be, relaxing. He's down in the studio. He's got people coming in the door all the time, and I keep telling him, you gotta learn to say no to some of these folks. But Kurt's not built that way, and that's what he loves to do is produce and play music. And so lots of great new music coming out. We've got a little Ariel Franz who's 12 years old. And she has got an amazing voice. And in fact, I think a video of hers dropped today, and I don't have that information, but watch for it. We'll put some information out there. I know there's a lot, I think, that's on the Clarksville Creative Sound Facebook page that you can go to. But, and then tomorrow on our friend Billy Bowles' Swingin' Country show, one of my new songs is enjoying a world radio premiere called "1,000 Tears Too Late," and it's a kind of a bluesy number, and it's one that Kurt really had me stretch my vocals on and helped me find a range I didn't even know I had. So I'm pretty proud of that, and so that drops shortly after Billy premieres that. It'll be available to all the radio stations through Indie Express, and it'll be on I2I Records, Dina Wood's platform. You can actually download it for your enjoyment. So we're happy about that. And then, of course, with the TV show, we saw the first draft of the pilot that we're shooting, and we're going back and doing another day of shooting this next Thursday. It's coming Thursday, and it's going to be a really interesting show. That's all I'll say. It's going to give you, if you've ever wondered what it's like to be in the studio with a producer behind the mic, witnessing the birth, the creation and birth of a song from the concept to the writing to the charting to the recording. That's what this show is going to do, and it's going to follow the path of so many great talented artists under the Clarksville Creative Sound banner as they write, record, play, and perform their music and climb that ladder, to hopefully stardom. And so it's going to be more kind of a reality format. And we'll be featuring, like I said, we'll be featuring a lot of what we're doing, because there's parallel universes between Clarksville, Nashville, and Fort Worth. So there'll be a lot of cameras and coverage on the live entertainment scene here in Fort Worth, including Mike's Festival and other things that we'll be doing at National Hall from time to time, and be watching very soon for some news on some shows this summer at National Hall, because we've got some things cooking there, and we'll be able to put the word out pretty soon when we get all that stuff nailed down.
Exciting stuff. And I see in the comments here, Dina Wood wants everybody to know that your video is going to be uploaded tomorrow to your YouTube channel, the Steve Markwardt Music YouTube channel. So be looking for that there. Also, the World Radio premiere on Billy Bull's Swinging Country, which will be from 10 a.m. to noon Central Time on KSSL FM, KSSLFM.com. You can check that out. So make sure you listen to him. Also on.
But Brent, what if you miss Billy's show on Saturday?
If you miss it on KSSL, come back at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central on Sunday to catch it on Rural Strong Radio. Find it at ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app. Make sure you get that app if you're out and about traveling so you don't miss it. Just type in Rural Strong Radio. You can hear that again, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, Saturday. If you miss it then, a third opportunity on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. You can catch it there, the re-air of Billy Bull's Swinging Country. So 3 great opportunities.
Also,
that go ahead.
If I may mention, I forgot to mention, in addition to Brent Adams being our Master of Ceremonies on Thursday of our festival, the great Billy Bowles of KSSL Radio will be our Master of Ceremonies all day Friday, including the Stockyards and National Hall. And then on Saturday, our MC will be Robert Houston, our very own Robert Houston, who's a co-producer of The Birth and History of Western Swing, and he heads up the Western Swing Rules Band. He will be MCing on Saturday. So I forgot to mention that.
There we go. So you've heard it here first. And if you want to keep up with the latest, make sure you are plugged in to the Fort Worth Musical Moments Facebook group, the Clarksville Creative Sound Facebook group, and the Rural Strong Media Facebook page. There you'll have all the information as it flies each day. A lot of videos, some music, some updates on everything we've got going on. So in between each of these Friday morning shows, you can stay up with the latest, and there's going to be a lot through the spring and summer months. So make sure that you're plugged in and join us again next Friday at 10 a.m. Central as we put together another Fort Worth Musical Moments. And again, Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and break down everything here for the Cowtown Birthplace of Western Swing Festival. Can't wait to see everybody this November in Fort Worth.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
And we'll have him back again before the festival so we can kind of get an update on how things are going. And Steve, we'll be back again next Friday.
All right, Brent, and just real quickly, little Madison, she's been in everybody's prayers. What's the latest?
Well, the latest, as we know now, we're going to be bringing her home here this afternoon.
That's awesome.
Barring any challenges. So
Great.
She's going to come home with some drain tubes that we got in mind for the next few weeks. And we'll have a follow-up procedure here in about 6 weeks. But for now, starting to move in the right direction here. So I think kind of the best thing for her is to get out of the hospital so she can really begin healing here at home. And we're just going to just keep pushing in the right direction here. And a special thank you to everybody who's been praying for us and asking about it. We really appreciate that. All the doctors and nurses and staff there at the Cincinnati Children's Hospital who have been phenomenal throughout all this. It's been a long, almost month now that we've been down this path here, and we feel like we're in the right direction here. So big thank you to those folks and the Ronald McDonald House Charities folks in Cincinnati. Can't say enough about those folks. They have been phenomenal to help us out as well. So I appreciate all that they do for so many people.
Brent, I was just thinking maybe we can do something, to give back to them. Maybe do a concert or something. I don't know, but let's figure that out. Talk to their people.
Absolutely.
That would be fun. But when you so tell little Madison when you get her home, tell her to do this. Squeeze real hard, close her eyes, and tell her that's all of us giving her a hug.
Absolutely. We'll definitely do that. We're looking forward. It's been a long week here at home with the other two here, just trying to keep everybody on the rails and get them to school. And now they've got they just came through a 2-week spring break. They went to school this week. Now they're going to be off on Monday for the great eclipse. So, everybody's going to be going out looking at the great eclipse. Don't stare directly at the sun. Don't use your phone to try to record it so you don't burn up your phone. But I hope everybody enjoys that too. That'll be a big time.
That's been mine and Mike's problem. We've stared at the sun too long.
I understand you bring up Robert Houston. I understand he's going to be doing some great entertaining down there in Arkansas for the big doings here for the eclipse there. So
yeah, I told him, and he said that's a great idea. I said you ought to work into your repertoire. Turn out the lights. The party's
Party's over. Yes. I should definitely do that. So yeah, everybody enjoy the eclipse. Don't get too crazy, but we will be back again next Friday for another Fort Worth Musical Moments, and we hope you join us then. I got to get on the road here. I know Steve's got some babysitting duties to do today, so we're going to jump off here, and we'll be back again next Friday. Thanks again for Mike. We'll see you. You've been watching Fort Worth Musical Moments, a production of Rural Strong Media and Clarksville Creative Sound, copyright 2023. Please join the Fort Worth Musical Moments Facebook group and join us each Friday at 10 a.m. Central as we introduce you to another key figure in Fort Worth's musical heritage.